And my name is Melissa Burmaster, and I am the Home Groups Director. I have been doing that role for about 2.5 years. My husband's name is James, and he's sitting in the audience today. And we have 3 children, and that's a little bit about me. If you're just kind of new here, you've been introduced to Melissa. So I was thinking about this series, Every Life Needs, and I thought with a little bit of modification that we could do a series very easily on what every wife needs. And I was thinking we would start by telling our male counterparts that we don't need a blender. Like, that's just not what we need for Christmas. Thank you. Maybe some more chocolates, some more shoes, and some purses are in order. Yeah. Anyways, if any of you guys need help with that, we'll develop a special home group for you. We'll take care of that, okay? All good. Christmas is coming. I know. You got it in front of you. Good. So anyways, we're talking about hope today. And there are 2 ways I could have addressed this. I could have started talking about hope from the perspective of, well, what hope do we have after life? What is our hope about regarding heaven? And what is the Christianity's hope regarding the return of Jesus? And that is one aspect of hope, okay? But there's also this need that we have, this sense that we need to have some hope about our everyday life, what's going on. And that's why the series is called Every Life Needs Hope. So today I want to talk about what hope means for you on a daily basis. And I have a story about a woman named Naomi that I'm going to talk about this morning. But first I'm going to share a story that I got into. When I was in a course in Heritage Seminary, I had to do a project where I had to interview a woman who was older than myself. She had to be about 65 or older. Maybe there's some of you who are like really experienced like that here today. And this project required that this person not be someone who I was related to. It had to be a stone cold story that I'd never heard before. So I knew this woman from my Bible study, and I kind of cheated because I knew that I could get an A if I did her story, okay? So I kind of cheated, okay? Don't tell me. Anyway, so she had this story where, this is going to drive me nuts.
Push it away from your mouth more.
More away from my mouth? Okay.
Bend the tip away.
All right. See, the better it's going to land up in my nostril. There, is that better? Okay. All right. So anyways, this woman's story was that her mother died giving birth to her. And she had a father that kind of resented this situation. And he was never cruel to her, but he often thought that she should have been a boy, and she knew that. Okay? So I knew I had some good material to go with. And her life started off with some rough things, but she had some good things going for her too. She had some scholastic abilities, so she was able to get some self-esteem from that. And she had a really good care provider that came into her life, and that was really good. And so she got moving on with her life, and then she went to school, and she got her teacher's credentials, and she went teaching, she got married, she had 3 kids, but then she had one of her adult children die in a tragic car accident. And she's really thankful today for a grandson who's like the spitting image of that son that she lost. And so, like, I knew that this was going to be good material. And as I went through the story, and there's all these sad parts in her life too, right? There was so much hope that I gained from listening to her story, because she had come to the other side of it, and she had gained some appreciation of what God was doing in her life. So that was really an encouraging thing to do, and I would encourage you, even though you're not going to do it for credit, but to spend time talking with seniors, because they have a lot to teach us, and they can give us hope for some of the circumstances that we're going through. So anyways, I'm going to turn to a book called Ruth, and there's this woman called Naomi in this book, and she was married to a man named Elimelech. If there's a word I'm going to trip over, that's the one, Elimelech. Anyways, they were married during the time of the Judges. And the people of God were kind of straying. And they were going their own way, and they were doing their own things, and this didn't please God. And so what happened was, there was a famine that came over the land, kind of like a wake-up call. Hello, come back to me, kind of thing. And so there was a famine that came over the land, and Elimelech and Naomi said, you know what, we got to take matters into our own hands. And so they decided that they would move to the country of Moab. But, however, shortly after moving to Moab, Elimelech dies and leaves Naomi like widowed in this strange country. Well, fortunately, she and Elimelech had conceived 2 sons, and they were old enough to get busy, work, and make a living for themselves there. So things were starting to look up. And then the boys got married. Oh, happy times. Marriage is a great time for celebrating and being thankful. So things looked pretty good. But both of her sons died. I don't know if it happened at the same time or what, but they both died suddenly. And they were young. And there was no children. There was no grandchildren from those marriages. So that was a sad situation for her. She's left with 2 daughter-in-laws. Is this the end of her sad story? No. Things get worse in Moab. Things change. And there's a famine there too. And it's not like she can go to the local Tim Hortons and just pick up a job. There's no grain. So they're not going to be making donuts. So what does she have to do? Well, she finally decides, maybe tail between her legs, that she's got to go home. So she goes back to Israel. So what you've heard so far are facts from the life of Naomi in the first chapter of Ruth. And this situation is absolutely deflating. If you count it, she's experienced 2 famines, she's lost 1 husband, she's lost 2 sons, and she's had to move her house twice. Like, this is a little bit of stress. I think so. Is she experiencing some signs of hopelessness? Yes, she is. If she is human like me, like you, I think she would have been a little stressed out about these circumstances. Well, we're going to explore 3 emotive reactions that come up out of the first chapter of Ruth. And Naomi exhibits these things. We're going to observe them because, you know, you and I face times during our lives where we go through stress too. And I think that you're going to be able to relate to some of the feelings that she has.
Okay, I just lost all power. Okay, so this one?
Okay. You guys are really testing me out this morning. So, one of the first signs is that she does develop a loss of confidence and trust in God. When Naomi decides to return to Israel, she finds food. To find food, she tells her daughter-in-law, you know what, the hand of the Lord is against me. Like, that's a pretty bold statement there. He's against me. She acknowledges that there is a God, but his hand is not for her, but against her. Having trust in something beyond yourself, in someone beyond yourself, well, that starts at a very young age. And it's a very important part of your picture of hope. Your very basic abilities to trust in all relations start with a very first relationship with your parents. Erik Erikson is a psychologist, and he articulated that during infancy, during 0 and 1.5 years of age, that's when trust develops in your life. And if you have consistent and adequate parenting, well, you develop trust. But if there's abandonment, then you experience some mistrust, and you have some issues with that. Subsequent traumatic events, they erode some capacity to just be able to trust in a relationship. And some of you may relate to that with some of the experiences you've had in your life. And you may relate very well to Naomi's situation of just feeling, I'm not sure if I trust what's going on here. So we'll talk to that a little bit more later.